Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today? It is St. Patty's Day. And we got a little music, we got a little calabash, we got a little Caribbean jazz playing in the background. Hope you're all doing well. It is Wednesday, March 17th, and I'm hoping to have a beautiful conversation with you today. It's the middle of the week, it's hump week. Some people would call it hump week. I wish I had like a green milkshake. It's St. Patty's Day. I want a little green for all my Irish friends. Did you know that my last name is Irish? Yes, I got a little Irish in me. A little quick quiz. So before we get really started, I invite you to get comfy, get your water, get your snacks. If you haven't grabbed it yet, grab a little notepad. You never know when those wisdom keys are going to drop. And be sure to share it with your friends and your loved ones because it's going to be, of course, an inspiring conversation. For those of you who don't know me, welcome to Victory Speaks, the Inspired Conversation series where iron sharpens iron. That's you and me sharpening each other. Yes. And I am your host, Nicole Waldron, your voice of victory and your mental fitness coach. And I'm on a mission to inspire you to live a victorious lifestyle. You see, we all need to cultivate that victory mindset as we mind our minds. It's a beautiful place. And guess what? It's Brain Awareness Week, too. So many things happening. It's International Women's Month and it's International Women's History Month. So lots going on. Let's remember to record our history, especially of women. We have done so much in this time, in this season, over the years, over the centuries. Find a woman, celebrate her. Remember to give her her flowers now, not when she's gone. And we have many, many conversations all the time. And this month I've been focusing on women. And we have conversations that are good, that are funny, that are not so good. You name it, we have it. But you know what? We can always find something inspiring in our conversations. And over the years, I've met a lot of wonderful people doing amazing work. And I thought it would be like, I need to share some of those conversations with you. You know what I mean? We all have a story to tell, and there's always someone that can glean from your story. Guess what? Sharing is caring. Don't you know that? I know that for sure. So I just want to make sure everybody is good, everybody is copacetic. How is it streaming on Facebook? Before I start to introduce my guest tonight, she's so special to me. I am double checking my Facebook. Yes, I see it live. I see it up. It's up on the YouTube. And I'm getting questions. Am I live? Yes, yes, I am live. Hopefully, you're seeing it. So I just want to make sure everybody is seeing it and that we're good. Good. Sharing is caring. Love more. Are you seeing me? Are you hearing me? Okay, wonderful. And so tonight, if you've ever wanted to be inspired, if you ever wanted to know how to bring women together from many backgrounds, listen, this interview is for you. If you ever wondered about the beauty of cooperative housing and what it can bring to the community, this interview is something you want to take in. And if you ever wondered if it was worth to volunteer, if it really made a difference, then guess what? Yes, this interview is for you. And if you love learning about inspirational people, if you love learning about, you know, people that you need to restore hope, I tell you, this interview is for you. So, welcome aboard, everybody. Thank you for joining in. This evening, I have the honor and the privilege to sit with a woman, sit down with a great friend of mine. I met her back in 2017 in Calgary. Time flies so fast. She is a force of love and compassion that wraps herself around the community. And I have been looking forward to this conversation for a long time. And I'm looking forward to you meeting her. My special guest tonight is Kathy Aubichon from the Women's Circle of Sarcee Meadows Housing Co-op in Calgary. She retired early at the age of 50 to pursue her passion for travel and helping others. Her objective in life has always been to help others and share their stories and to help them succeed in being and doing whatever they're passionate about. Kathy always says the sky is the limit. 7 years ago, Kathy and 9 other women came together and they worked hard to build bridges and help their diverse communities of neighbors grow by showing the values of diversity, understanding, and respect. They were able to see that despite the cultural traditions, differences that we all have, there are so many things we have in common and we can share and celebrate. My friends, get your emojis together, your hearts, your thumbs up. And my friends, please help me show some love by welcoming my beautiful guest, who is a community builder. She's also a leader, and she's also very passionate about the projects that she just loves giving back to the community. So let's give it up for my girl, Kathy. Woo! She's coming up. She's coming up. She's coming up. And here she is. Woohoo! Woo! Yeah, we got the cheering section there, Kathy, for you. How are you doing tonight, hon?
Doing great. First of all, I want to send a shout out to all the women's circle that are watching us. As I've said many times, I'm fortunate enough to be the storyteller, the women's circle and Sarcee Meadows. That's the true story. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And as you can see, I was trying to decide which room should I do this from. And everybody knows my grandson is my heart. And so I decided that the place I'm most comfortable in is of course with the dinosaurs in the back and
I love it. I love it. And he's so precious. He's so precious. Well, to everybody signed on, Deborah, Cher, Joan, Jaleesa, Farah. I see you. Farah Can is on. Yes, yay, Kathy. So I know you're going to recognize some names here, right here. So we're
Yes.
going to get into it. So what's it? I don't know what the weather is like these days. What's the weather like these days in Calgary? How are you doing over
Fortune,
there?
Fortunately, we're on a warm trend right now. We had a bit of a cold snap a couple weeks ago, which was hard on all of us because so many of us in the women's circle volunteer with feeding the homeless, helping the homeless. So that was really hard for us. But now, thankfully, the weather has warmed up and things are getting better, and the snow's melting. So now we're fairly fortunate.
What is it like living in Calgary? I mean, I've only gotten to visit, but what is it like living there?
Well, I was born and raised in Saskatchewan, so
Oh,
used to the flatland. So I'm coming and I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love life in Saskatchewan. But in Alberta, in Calgary, we're surrounded by the mountains. We have the Chinook winds. Our city is very diverse and multicultural. The other thing is we're very close, like as I said, to the mountains, so we get out as often as we can. So no, it's a beautiful city we live in.
I look forward to coming back out there. I can't
Mhm.
wait. I can't wait.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see the women. Farah, I miss you too. I can't wait to see you guys. So, what brings you joy? And I know your grandson brings you joy.
I was
What
gonna
else
say
brings you
that's the
joy?
top of my list.
I know. I can imagine. He brings you great joy. You're like the best grandma ever.
The thing is with him, he's 4.5 years old, and he's gets smarter every time that I see him, and he knows it. He lets me know. So, Grandma, I'm a genius. He tells me all the time, and the great thing about him is that in our community, especially during COVID, a lot of our seniors, for instance, haven't been able to see their family or their kids, their grandkids. And so
Mm.
what I often will do is I will, get together some fruit or some treats for the seniors and go knock on the door and step back and wave to them. And so he's become a great friend to a lot of our seniors and other members in Sarcee Meadows. So that's one of my great joys. But another is I want to give a shout out to my let's call her my stepdaughter Martha and her husband Manuel. These two kids have really taught me what family is all about. They're so forgiving and they're so loving, and I am so happy to be a part of this family. So these are the things that gave me great joy. Not to mention the women's circle.
I
Is
know. I
I
know
could
the women's circle gives you good joy.
we could talk 24 hours about the women's circle. It has absolutely 100%. I can tell you, changed my life. So many parts of it has absolutely changed my life. I don't know if you can ask me what one of
We're,
my
we're, we're, we're gonna get into the women's circle. We're gonna get into the women's circle. I want to know some more about you, as we talk over the time and over the years. But now's a little time to get the world to know about the greatness of Kathy that the women's circle loves and that I love. Um, what's some of the best advice you've been given?
Hmm, let me just. I have my best advice.
You're thinking. I see you thinking.
Yeah, have got my notes because I want to cover things. I guess one thing is nothing is accomplished alone.
Mm,
Always surround yourself with strong, like-minded people. As you're growing up, one of the things I found, anyways, growing up, it was all about how many friends do I have. It was even on Facebook, how many friends on numbers do I have? But in reality, as I grow older, it's really about the quality of those friends. So that was good advice. Another thing is living a life with no regrets. A friend of
mm.
mine, women's circle know her. She had cancer. She was 70 years old, cancer for the second time. And she told me she only told a few people about it, confided in it. And she said, this time I'm not going to do chemo. I'm going to just go through it. And I know it's going to shorten my life, but I'd rather have a life of quality. Even though it's shorter than to suffer with chemo, so that's what she did. And but what she did is she ended up celebrating every single holiday. I can't remember what nationality it was, but she Chinese New Year's, Hanukkah, didn't matter what the occasion was, she did it. And, right till the very end, 3 days before she passed away, she was still baking cookies in her kitchen that she was sending to her friends and family. So
Wow.
live life with no regrets, just do everything that you want to do. Don't put it off. Tomorrow's
She's
not
living
promised.
it to the
We all
fullest. The
know that.
fact that she's baking cookies till the end, that
Three
is really
days.
living
Yeah.
life. Okay, that's inspirational.
Yes,
And I hope
exactly.
everybody's listening can get inspired. What can you do to live your
Mhm.
life without regret? Let me know in the comments. Let me know
Mhm.
what is some of the best advice that you've gotten so that we can share it here and we can learn from you as well as you tune in and listen to us. Type it in the comments. Let us know. And Kathy, you've traveled all over.
Mhm.
One of the things you've achieved a goal that many still want to achieve is traveling when you
Mhm.
retire. What was one of the favorite places that you visited?
Again, my absolute favorite was the first one that my husband and I went to. His first big trip was Egypt. It's one of those things. Again, I'm from Saskatchewan. We didn't really travel very much, and so just one day we were sitting on the couch thinking, yeah, where do we want to go? And we both kind of spouted out Egypt, a place that we dreamt about, but never in a million years thought that we could do it. So we thought, what the heck? And we picked up the phone. Never booking a trip like this ever in my life before, and just got lucky, and it was the trip of a lifetime. From seeing, I guess my favorite place was Abu Simbel. When we were standing there as we're walking along to get to this place, it looks kind of plain and ordinary, but as soon as you round the corner and you see this magnificent, setting, it brings tears to your eyes. And for me, again, kind of coming from humble beginnings, I sat there and I thought, who
Mm,
am I to be able to stand in places where kings and queens sat?
wow.
Who am I to be there? And it was just such a powerful experience. But yeah, again, this was our first trip that we ever took to a Muslim country, and at this time it was before the women's circle. I knew nothing about the Muslim culture, so it was different. It was very, go for breakfast for bacon and eggs, and there was no bacon. So
Yes.
and I learned about halal. I learned about the different cultures, and that's what we
Mhm.
really enjoy about traveling to, the different countries. We get to learn the culture, the religion, and you take the best out of all of it. And the one thing that we always like to do as well is go to the orphanages, because it's one thing to go to the customary places and just see the tourist things, but
Yes.
it's also very interesting to see how these people are living, and
Really
it's
living. Yeah.
oh yeah, for sure.
See your heart. Even on vacation, you're giving your heart. Even I don't know. Even on your vacation, you're giving your heart. So how did the work? So tell us about this women's circle. How did it start?
Back in so this is 2014. All of the communities in Calgary have a City of Calgary community social worker. So one of the
Oh,
social workers.
really?
Yeah. It's they're assigned to all the different neighborhoods. They go out to the community halls as well, and they participate in mom and tot activities. So from there, this social worker got to meet some of our ladies, and she kind of talked to them a little bit and realized that something wasn't quite. They weren't maybe as happy as they could be. So
Okay.
the social worker came to our then general manager, Roberta Miller, and asked her, like, is there anything our community needs? And she said, the one thing that she is finding is that there seems to be some division in our community. Sarcee Meadows is 50 years old. We're built next to there's an army base next by. So it's very primarily white community, if you want to call it that. And so in recent years, the last 10 years, for instance, we've been seeing immigrants from different countries coming in, and people didn't really know how to relate. How do you go up and say, that looks somebody that looks different than you, dresses different than you, talks different than you? How do you go up to them and say hi? For instance, it seems so simple, but it can be intimidating. And anyway, so the ladies decided the social worker and Roberta decided, let's talk to a couple of the other women, immigrant women, and let's see what we can do. So they went to the first meeting and thought, okay, well, let's get some women together and let's see where we go from there. So one of my neighbors just said, it just happened to be passing me on the way. I was just at the point of retiring, and she said, Kathy, we've got this group that seems kind of secret. We want to, we're just testing the water, see what it's going to be like. You want to come? I thought, what the heck? I'll go to a meeting or two just to learn about it. Well, 7 years later, I'm as hooked as can be. And so, once we sat down there was the social worker, the general manager, and a few, there's 10 of us, different cultures, different ages.
Yeah.
We sat down over chai and butter chicken, that's the best starting. And the conversation, it was so easy. The questions, no question was off limits. And from there, we realized, we've got something really special here. And in talking, we realized we all like the same things. You look at somebody and you judge them by looks or different things, what you see on TV. But when you actually sit down and take the time to get to know them, you realize they like horse back riding. They like pizza as much as we do, and we like the food from their country. So that's basically how we started.
Did you find like you had some challenges when you had to bring some of the women together? Because I know in your community there's it's a mix where you have a Muslim people and I know most people may think everybody's the same, but I remember when we were sitting down together, there are people saying that, oh, this group wouldn't mix with this group. Like, what were some of those challenges you faced, like bringing all these women from different cultures together?
It was very interesting because again, at our first meeting, we had women that were from India, from Poland, from I guess myself, Canada, like all different countries, and people told us, if you have somebody from India, so they were your first
Right.
group of women are from India, there's no way anybody from Pakistan is going to join.
Oh,
Well, you never say no, never to me. So it didn't take long, and then so we reached out to the ladies from Pakistan, and they joined. And then people said, well, now that you have those two groups, you're never going to get any women from Somalia to join. Well, again, never say never. So we have people from all every country under the sun. And the thing is, not only are we coming together, we're thriving together. These ladies are now best of friends. There's the competition with the chai. Who makes the best chai from the different countries? It's all different, but it's there definitely was a few challenges at the beginning. People. The ladies back then from some of the countries didn't speak very good English. And so, we told them what better place, what better way to learn English than in a safe environment like the Women's Circle. If you make a mistake, if you mess up, mix up a word, we're there to help you, and no judgment, no questions asked. So it was to see things transpire that first year was incredible. Yeah.
I love that, and I love Farah's. Indeed, God created us all equal. So true, so
Mhm.
true. And so now you're like 50 women strong. How many women are in the women's circle?
And it's again, we started off with 10, and with every single we're doing meetings every 2 weeks back then, when the group was small enough that we could meet in each other's homes. And with every meeting there's one or two more people, and then it just kept on growing and growing. And in fact, we had one lady, we as part of our meetings, we would try to have different activities, and one was growing flowers. And there's one lady, Marla Harding. She's our garden lady. So we invited her. She was 70 years old at the time, and we said, "Can you come and teach us?" And she said, "I'll come and teach you, but there's no way I'm joining the women's circle." Well, by
Ooh,
the time the hour was up, it was, where do I sign? She she was it's sad to report that we lost her a few years ago,
Oh,
but she came in and she was such a mentor. She was loved by all the ladies. When you think about some of these ladies that come over from different countries, they leave their families behind, and so people like Marla, Betty, Carol, like there's so many ladies in our community that take over the role of mother, grandmother, that kind of thing, and Marla was definitely that for us. So um, yeah, there's a lot of special people in this group, and as people are still adding on to our women's circle even now. As people know, I publish a lot on Facebook
yeah.
about our activities, and I publish a lot in our newsletter. And people will see that and they say, "I want to be part of this group." You know, we're doing some really special things, especially even during COVID, and people want to be a part of that. And so, and we have our youngest member. Well, if you talked to the kids yesterday, our youngest one is maybe 12 years old. Our eldest is, I want to say, is 85 years old. You know, our honorary member Kathleen is going to be turning 85, and yeah, like it's all races, all ages, all cultures. We don't care. You leave your, you know, the women's circle. I want to say is colorblind. We do our best to be colorblind. We don't care what the nationality. We care about what's inside, and yeah, it's a pretty
You know,
special group.
that's what I felt like. I was so in awe when I was
Mhm,
there and coming into your home and meeting all these different women, and everybody was just so welcoming and warm. And
mhm,
but there was just this presence, just there was just, I can't explain it. It's one of those
mhm,
things that's unexplainable, that you're
mhm,
able to bring all these women together and you're living. I mean, when you think of co-op housing and you guys are in houses, so it's what, over 300,
380.
380, right,
Mhm.
homes there, and you get women to come from all types of cultures. That is just so amazing. So you were gathering together in homes and stuff like that. But now with
Mhm.
COVID, how are you even doing this? What are
You
you
know,
guys
it,
doing now with COVID, with this pandemic? Huh.
Yeah. So as the number started to grow, we ended up we have a community hall, so we would meet in the community halls from time to time. But what we find easiest is to communicate over email, through WhatsApp. What we're not meeting face to face so much. We have green spaces, so we have parks that we go and meet at. But most of our communication is done over just over email or like I said, WhatsApp. And from that, like it's just one of those things that people will tell me, so and so just had a baby, or so and so just passed away, or so and so, whatever, like whatever the circumstances, a lot of them will reach out to me, and then I spread the news to the community. One of our recent members of the women's circle had sent a note saying she owns a pharmacy. Her pharmacy was robbed at gunpoint, and so she came on
No.
and she shared through email saying that this has happened and how devastating it was to her and her family and her employees. So through that, everybody reached out. If you need anything, if you need a hug, of course, the virtual hugs.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
need
yeah.
if you need to talk to somebody on the phone, never feel alone. So not only is the women's circle helping our community, we help each other as well. If anybody needs anything, we are here for each other, no matter what the circuit, good, bad, or otherwise. We're here.
One of the things I saw is this birthday thing.
Mhm.
You have celebrated, and is this only in COVID? But I see you've celebrated. You've done something specifically for seniors. How are you really? What are you doing in the lives of seniors right now? And I think this is something that I think many can learn from, no matter where you are. But share with everybody what you guys are doing with seniors and for seniors, even in a pandemic.
Right. One of my good friends, Quaco, he was about to turn 80. Well, turned 80 just, what is it, April 2nd. So just after the pandemic started. His family had been planning a big 80-year celebration for him with family and friends. And because of COVID, all of a sudden, all that was canceled. And so we thought, there's no way we're going to let him celebrate by himself. And so I got together a couple of the women's circle. Again, it was very new. This is our first time doing it. So we're
Right.
being very careful, and we got some balloons and we got some birthday banner, and because toilet paper was a hot commodity, they
Yes.
kind of got him a big thing of toilet paper. Knocked on his door. He's from Ghana, and he opened up the door, and he was so surprised and so happy. And he
Oh,
truly made his day. And then so from there, we thought, this really went over well. So let's keep this going. And another one of our seniors, Carol Davis, she had her 75th birthday just a couple days later. And again, we thought there's no way. So I coordinated with her daughter, and at that time, the Calgary Fire Department were doing drive-by birthdays, and so we
oh,
arranged that we'd have, yeah. So we had her family surprise her, and we stood out of sight, and in came the fire truck right by her house, sirens going, happy birthday playing, and the firemen had a big sign saying happy birthday. So again, not only did it make her so happy, the neighbors in her community, in her area, came out and all celebrated it as well. So that's kind of how it started. And then as we progressed, and it was a learning process, there'd be one or two people going to the seniors' doors, and what we'd do is ring the doorbell, step and leave a gift for them,
right.
step back, and when they open up the door, start singing happy birthday, have the banner. And then as we progressed, we started taking pictures of them and putting them in the newsletter, because a lot of our seniors and other members as well
Yeah.
were saying, how so-and-so, I wonder how this person's doing, what's happening with this person. So by putting their pictures in a bio in the newsletter, we're able to see, oh, okay, this person's doing okay. And so progress that way. And then another thing we added onto it is the government. The government sends out different birthday announcements. So I'd reach out to Prime Minister Trudeau, or to the Lieutenant Governor, or to the mayor, and they would send us birthday certificates. And to hand over
Wow.
the birthday certificates, I remember one fellow from Poland. He turned 90, and he was so proud. He was so happy. I handed, here's a birthday announcement from Prime Minister Trudeau. Here's this, and he was so
Kathy.
thrilled, and he said, do you think it's okay if I send a thank you letter to the Prime
Oh my
Minister? And I said,
gosh.
of course, absolutely. And so it's the smiles on the faces of the seniors says it all. And the other part of this as well is that our kids are coming out as well. So the kids are coming out, and they're a big part of it. They help blow up the balloons and do the banners and sing happy birthday, and then they really get to see the value of what we're doing. One of our young girls here, she just turned 13 yesterday, and somebody surprised her and brought some flowers for her, and she said, I've been the one giving. I've been the one that's been there singing happy birthday and celebrating birthdays. Now I know how it feels like to have somebody come to me and do it. So it just adds that extra touch. And yeah, no, it's again just another really special thing. And we plan to do it at least for the rest of 2012 this year, 2021. Again, the other thing to mention is with the Women's Circle, we don't get any budget from the
Right.
cooperative.
Right.
This is a decision we
Yeah.
decided. So everything that we do is from our own pockets, or donations from the members or neighboring stores. So it kind of adds that extra special
Right.
touch while that we're doing it. We're not receiving money. We are doing it for the senior. So it's special.
This is so special. And I think
Mm.
I really hope that this inspires others. It's inspiring me because
Mm.
just learning about what you're doing for the birthdays and the seniors in your building, I think we're going to even do this in our co-op. And if you have a co-op, and I don't even think even if it's just a co-op, if you live in a neighborhood and you know at least five of your neighbors, and doing those outdoor birthday celebrations, and going and putting a balloon and dropping a card and baking some cookies, and that right there, especially now in the loneliness, we're a year into the pandemic. I think this is
Mm.
something you need to continue all the time. This is like for perpetuity. But
Right.
to hear that the fire department does this, we don't have
Mm.
anything like this in Toronto. Fire
And
department's
they
not doing this. That's
Yeah.
special.
And they only did it for a short period of time. Again, people thought the
Yeah,
pandemic was going to last for a couple of months, and so it was for, I think, a 3-month period, and they
but that's
stopped.
still good. That
Yeah,
that is still good whenever they can do it, and especially when you have somebody who maybe hits their 90s, and we have some
Mhm.
going into their hundreds. We have a lot of centurions happening around here. And then okay, but you also have something for the home. Okay, I'm just letting you people know. I don't know when Kathy sleeps. I thought I was busy, but and this is all the women's circle doing this. So is the women's circle also doing this homeless project that I saw?
。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . Yeah, so in June of 2019, I had been in contact with this group called Calgary Helping Homeless, and they reached out saying that their sponsor or their host for that particular night had dropped out. So would the Women's Circle be interested in helping out? It happened to be the long weekend, July long weekend, and so first of all, I thought, no, no way I can get it together so quickly. But then I slept on it, and I thought, send
Yeah.
out the message and see what happens. And sure enough, there's 6 women, including myself, came forward. We went out there and we serve the homeless. And when we're talking serve the homeless, this is right on the streets of downtown. Rain or shine, sleet, doesn't matter. We're there, and we all baked up at that time, pre-COVID. We baked up casseroles, and so there's a lineup of probably 150 homeless people, and so they would come through, and we try to engage them with a smile and hand them over a scoop of rice, potatoes, whatever it was, and to see the gratitude, like the smiles on the face of the homeless, vulnerable people. And it was like, thank you so much. And they say, what are you doing? When we went out there when it was freezing cold, they say, what are you doing out here in the cold? We have to be here. You don't want, what are you doing here? And figure like, if you have to be here, we want to be there as well. So it started off with just the 6 of us. And we went back home and we told the story about, the experience and how we felt. So 2 weeks later, they came back to us again. I've never had this ever happen to any committee or any volunteer thing. I've never had it happen where I've had too many volunteers. We
Wow.
were shoulder to shoulder, men, women, and children. There were so many people that came out. The kids said, at the end of it, when can we come back? Like they were. There's one lady had her family in from India. Her mom and dad, so grandparents were there, and the grandfather was in tears when he saw the long lineup of people waiting for food, and the fact that there were so many people that were really willing to help. We bring food, we bring clothing, hygiene, all
Right.
that kind of stuff. So it's it's that particular extra initiative itself has gone so far in that in was teaching not us as adults even, but as far as our children. One of the ladies told me that the kids were so moved by it. They're telling their kids at school about it, their friends at school about it. And she said one day she came home and she found her young son, around 12, 13 years old, in the living room. And she overheard him talking to their friends about, what he does helping the
Yeah.
homeless. And so they all ended up, they reached into their pocket, took out all their money and put it together and went and bought food for the homeless. Like, so these are things that we're teaching them how to give back, how to appreciate what you have, and just, no, it's
They're watching,
priceless.
the kids are watching what we do more than what we
Mhm,
say. They
mhm,
literally, we can tell them to be kind and to be loving, but you're literally
mhm.
showing them that, and that is so significant. So now with the pandemic, how did you have to are you still able to do stuff with the homeless project?
We ended up having to stop with that particular group as we weren't able to
Mhm.
scoop up food anymore. We did for a while hand out takeaway bags, but even with that, we had to stop just because the Alberta Health Services restrictions wouldn't allow us to
Okay.
have, because we have like anywhere up to, especially this time, around 50 people showing up. So we couldn't do it that way. But we did find another group, Be the Change, YYC, and with them, I can't, both of the groups are absolutely amazing. But this particular group as well, what they do, they keep us safe. So what we do is we bring them donations, and all I have to do is send out a message and say, hey, we're going to be going down to Be the Change on Tuesday. What do you have? Next thing I know, I'm having to call up my neighbor and say, I need your vehicle as well, because we've got so many. And when we show up at the Be the Change, they kind of chuckle a little bit, because I'll open up the
I'm
trunk and they'll see,
sure.
there's pillows, blankets, hygiene, like all the, water, chicken, muffins, like all of this stuff. Like I don't think they're used to seeing so many pillows and blankets, but we want to make sure they're comfortable, so
You know
it's,
what is so significant is that you started the women's circle, 10 of you, and who
mhm,
knew 7 years later that you would be doing this type of work when it
mhm.
was just about bringing women together, and now you're bringing the community together.
In a
That
million
like
years. Mm.
how does that make you guys feel?
I actually had a conversation with Chaz, one of the fellows from Be the Change, this morning. He's the founder of that group, and he said to me, when the pandemic started, the downtown shut down. The office buildings, people were working from home. It was a ghost town. Restaurants were closed, so the homeless people couldn't get food. They couldn't get water.
Yeah.
washrooms, the libraries were closed down, so they couldn't, the basics in life they couldn't have. So
Yeah,
think
right.
about being homeless, but then think about being homeless in a pandemic. Again, no panhandling. There's nobody to panhandle from. So all of these things. And so he decided that no way, there's no way. He told me as well to share the story that he was homeless for a while. So he knew they were closing down, feeding the homeless and giving them the necessities was not an option. And so he continued to do this, and talk about a good feeling. Like 2 weeks, this was 2 weeks ago. Whenever I go to drop off donations, I always like to bring at least one member of the women's circle, and especially the kids. We can only bring a few because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We closed, but so we brought one of the youth, Juji, that turned 13 yesterday, and we asked the questions: why are people homeless? What do you do with the donations when we give you this chicken and muffins and fruit?
Yeah.
What do you do with this? And they described to us how they put it into a wagon and they walk up and down the streets in the evenings, 4 evenings a week, and they go underneath the bridge, they go in the alleyways, and they're finding
And they find them.
the rough sleepers. And yeah, one of the questions that she asked as well is, when do they eat the food? Do they start eating the food right away as soon as you give it to them? And they said yes, that may be their only meal for the whole day, maybe even 2 days, and who knows when they'll get more. So it definitely, like, the kids feel very valued. They feel very happy, grateful for what we have here, and it's definitely it touches us all. And I can tell you, as far as not only the women's circle, but when I send out a note, because again I posted in our community newsletter, bags of bags, like all kinds of stuff, people will come and drop off, and I just have to send out the word. And
I'm amazed at the generosity. I'm amazed at the generosity of this community,
Mhm.
because you're not sending it far and wide. You're sending it inside of inside of your co-op. They're
Mhm.
getting the newsletter, and people are responding. So it shows that people want to be kind. People want to
Yes.
give. They just need the leadership and a
Mhm.
team of people that can help them, to give back.
Mhm.
Um, I think, you know what? Let's show something about the women's circle, so then we can go into the next question. So let me show my viewers and show us your love. If you have any questions, if you want to do something like this, I hope you're being inspired. Give us some love, some emojis, and let us see, what you are thinking, as we show you this video clip from the women's circle. Okay, hopefully you hear everything. Here we go.
What's the point of living in a community where you don't know each other? So that's the main reason we started Women's Circle. Sharing our stories, sharing our experiences. There's so much laughter there. Sharing what we know, which others can benefit.
We have 380 homes, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom townhouse type units. I think that the challenges of becoming more diverse are breaking down all those society myths. They're just another person, just like I am, with the same fears and wants and desires. So that's a wonderful, positive thing to have that kind of diversity going on in the group.
Before I used to hesitate to go and talk to anyone, but now I'll be the first one to go and introduce myself and start talking.
Sarcee Meadows is like family, like an extended family. I'm blessed to be here, actually.
When I first moved to Sarcee Meadows, you come to work, you do your 9 to 5, you come home and you do your own thing. Joining the women's circle, I've just gotten that confidence that I can walk through the community, say hi to everybody. I help out with my neighbors help me. The men have all gotten to know each other. The children have got to know each other. There's just that sense of belonging, a sense of community that has developed so much in the past 3 years.
We have different backgrounds, we have different culture, but I believe we also have more similarities. So I think we all should come with that similarity and form one beautiful nation, which no one can take us apart.
My message to other co-ops would be to open your hearts and open your doors before being judgmental and forming an opinion. And just a simple smile probably could bring back so many joys, and it could build so many bridges. If we can do it here at Sarcee Meadows, you could do it in any neighborhood. My hope is that this legacy continues for more generations to come.
It warms my heart that in our small corner of the world, we are making a difference. One smile, one kind word, one act of sharing, we are making a difference. If after hearing our story, even one co-op starts their version of a women's circle, what a wonderful success story that would be.
When I think of Women's Circle, the word comes to me is sharing.
Laughter,
inclusion,
safety,
caring, diversity,
friendship,
Family.
That right there, Kathy, is just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And I hope everyone listening, watching live and on the replay, that you can get a glimpse of what it is to have the Women's Circle and what they're doing here in the Women's Circle at Sarcee Meadows Co-op in Calgary. Welcome everyone. If you're just joining us, I'm here with my friend Kathy, all the way from Calgary, joining me for an inspired conversation. And I am so inspired to learn what they're doing. The ideas of even in a pandemic, they're still stretching themselves. Kathy and the women are stretching themselves. They're still doing birthday celebrations for the seniors, still helping the homeless, finding ways to connect with others. And when you think back to being in the circle and being together, what are some of the lessons that you have learned, where you may have had a myth, like some of those myths sometimes that we have, that, we can't go into certain people's houses, or certain people or certain communities are not welcoming. What are some of the myths that you found that was like, no, this is not true?
Mhm. I guess the biggest lesson for me is not to assume people are a certain way or do things a certain way. Some of the myths, for instance, would be that, again, with looking at our ladies of the Muslim faith, so many people thought that the women are under the men's thumb, that the men don't participate in things, that it's always the woman. And I can tell from firsthand experience that I don't always announce when I'm going over to people's houses. Just before our cultural event, I went over to one of our neighbors' homes, and I found the husband kneeling down on the floor with his two kids, putting sparkles all over the poster, trying to make something special, changing the kids' diapers. I can, it's and another myth is that the men won't speak to the women. Well, I go into their homes all the time, and I don't find that at all. Like it's we have to be open, and we have to remember that as far as people being under thumbs or being oppressed, this is something that I don't think is specific to any culture. I think about our own myself as something like I can share that I've experienced. Personal thing was I was involved with a fellow that was very controlling. I worked from 7 to 3. I couldn't leave the house till 6:45, and I better be home by quarter after 3. So again, it's not, there are good people and bad people in every culture. It doesn't matter. So that's one thing that I try to share with people is don't stereotype. Like don't I always go back to the Hitler thing. All Germans are not like Hitler. Don't hate Germans because of one guy. The Nazis, for instance. So that's kind of the thing is that I've learned the most is just be open your heart, open your door. Do not don't judge people. We don't know. With helping the homeless, it's another thing. Like so many people say, oh, they're on the street because they're lazy bums. They don't want to work. They've got all of these. You hear all these stigmas, and I can tell you from being a part of the helping to feed the homeless and taking the time to listen to their stories, that especially like with COVID, people are losing their jobs, people are losing their marriages, health issues, all kinds of things. So yeah, like don't be judgmental. Who are we to judge anybody? If you're going to help. Don't let there be a tag to it. Like you help for the right reasons, and so those are the things that the life lessons. And here in our co-op as well, like meeting our seniors and stuff like that, and just sitting down, having the conversations. And there are people out here. People say, "Oh, I'm bored." They're like, pick up your co-op directory and just pick a number and call a friend, or call somebody and make a friend. So that I guess is the biggest thing for me.
And you know what I love? It's funny. I always end this show with telling some people that a conversation just starts with a smile. So I even love how you even incorporated that piece into it. The stories, you're such a storyteller, and you have this way that you can bring out the best in others. And I'm looking at, I'm going to give you some of the love that's being given to you here. You're getting your flowers. Farah is happy to leave a beautiful legacy. Excellent job, says Rishma. Excellent job. Love all the smiles in the video. Stay blessed always. you know Blessed. Bias and misconceptions are what we need to get rid of. It is true. It truly is. um and So I love that, because it's really inspiring. And as you break down, we're in a place where diversity, when Canada is supposed to be a very diverse country, but we still have this racism, we still have these unconscious biases, and we also have biases that we're very much aware of. Because, as you said earlier, with the older the lady with the gardening, at first she said she's not going to join the women's circle
Yeah.
until she came in. Do you know what made that shift happen? What makes that shift happen when the women come in and they see you, Kathy, and then you're writing on a board and taking notes? Like, what makes the shift? What happens?
All I can say, I think that you experienced it yourself when you came to our potluck, is it's so, the women are all so genuine and so open to sharing. There's no judgments. People will tell stories that, when you were there, for instance, I heard stories from some of the ladies I had never heard before. It's so welcoming and comfortable, and goes back to the same thing as when these ladies couldn't speak that English that well.
Yeah.
They knew that it didn't take them long to know that we were there, and we're there to support them. We're not there to point fingers or laugh at them or judge them. We're there to help. And I think that's one thing that we've established very early on, is the trust factor. And so people are comfortable sharing their stories. And it's, like I said, I could talk about the women's circle all day long. Hey, it's just like some of the, early on, again, when we first started, I had no idea what halal was. I had never
Yeah.
heard about it, didn't know what it was. But it didn't take very long. The ladies started from the different countries would tell us, okay, I can eat this, but I can't eat that. And just no one said, okay, when we have a meeting, it has to be halal. It just happened naturally. People just wanted to do that. They wanted to help out. And so what we do is, not everything is halal. There'll be halal for, it's based on respect. We'll have halal for them. We'll have, for the ladies that don't eat pork, for instance, we'll
Right.
have vegetarian. We'll have, because we want to cover all bases. We want to make sure that everybody's happy and healthy. And I think at the end of the day, as we still have people women joining now, is that they see it's not phony. It's not put on.
Yes.
It's you can see the passion. And like I said, if yesterday I had the privilege, absolute privilege, of participating in a podcast that was hosted by Cooperative Housing International.
Right.
And I asked the kids that they invited 4 youths from the women's circle to participate, and I asked them prior to the podcast to just write a couple of paragraphs. What does living in a co-op mean to you? And the stories, I was shocked. I was totally surprised and impressed at how well spoken they were. How the common thread through all of it was they felt safe, they felt secure, they have made lifetime friends. And these are kids from I think the youngest one was 12 up to 14, and it was it just goes to show that they're watching everything that we're doing, and
Yes.
they're modeling after us. And
Yeah.
so we have to make sure that we're being the best that we can be. These are our leaders. And so as one of our members, Carol Davis, said to us this morning, Carol's been in our co-op since 1971. She's one of our first members.
Wow.
And she said, you go through life and you think, oh, we're doing okay as a cooperative. And then she read these essays from the kids, and it was, yep, we were doing a good job. We're on the right track. Like we have future leaders here, and it's not just the kids in the women's circle. We've got a lot of very impressive kids that are doing all kinds of good kids of all ages doing really incredible work. So it's something.
I'm so impressed and inspired, and hopefully we can share this interview with many co-ops, but even many neighborhoods, that when you listen to this interview, it's not even just about joining Kathy's Women's Circle. It's about starting your own women's circle where you are, no matter what it is, whether it's with 5 friends, whether it's with your community, it's bringing women together, because so many times women are competing against each other and not learning how to complement each other. And the fact that you guys were able to do this just really, warms my heart. And I'm so glad that it's still going years,
Mm-hmm.
years
It's
later.
shocking. Yes.
It's years later, it is growing, and you're gonna just need a home just for this. Uh, what do you what where do you even find the energy for this? What gives you the energy to do this, Kathy?
As Farah has put in her one of her comments here, sleep is not really my friend. I'll sleep when I'm gone. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm so, I don't know. I'm so passionate about helping people, and I guess I wouldn't be if I didn't see any results. But I see not instant results, but I see the change. I back in the early days, there used to be those people. Those people don't do this, or those people
Right.
don't partner. Those people, whatever. There's a lot of those people, and now I don't hear that so much anymore. And I think so it has changed. Things like definitely we'll be posting the kids' essays, so our community is going to see these kids and what co-ops and Sarcee Meadows in particular means to them. A couple of years ago as well, we had a seniors day, and so again, the kids, we had made up packages and we went door to door to the seniors to deliver them. This one particular lady, we went to her house, and she has been with Sarcee Meadows since I think 1972, and she came in and tears streamed down her eyes right away. She was just so happy to be greeted at the door and remembered by these kids. So bringing our seniors and our youth together has been really big, a really big deal, but really big, inspiring way to keep this all going and keep our cooperative building and growing stronger.
And look at the love is coming in, Kathy. And I know you're so humble and you do it. You don't do it for the accolades, but
Oh.
take some of the love. Kathy is the backbone of our strength. I
Mm.
love that. Yay, Auntie
Oh,
Kathy from
thank you.
see that even the young ones are listening, and
Mm.
she's an inspiration for all of us. And Wendy, thank you for tuning in. Wendy says that's so true. Coming together as women, we really need to. The more we come together, the stronger we are, the better we are. Is there any story I know I might be putting you on the spot right now, so if you don't remember, is there a story in particular or a change that happened in any other woman that came to the women's circle that just really sits with you and stays with you?
Uh yeah, there's I won't name the name, but I can when we first started the women's circle, she was one of the first people that were there, and she was a lot of our ladies from India, Pakistan, Somalia, very shy because
Right,
they can speak
right.
the language very well. And so our focus really our first 2 years was just kind of building that trust, building the relationship, understanding each other. Why do they act a certain way? Why do we act a certain way? And just kind of so building the trust was key. And so the this particular lady, she was telling us that she was very shy, staying in her home quite a bit. Again, when you think about watching on TV, the things that you see on TV, so people look at it and they believe that what they see on TV or how these people are.
Yes.
But so a year afterwards, we're at a women's circle meeting, and I said to her, "How has this changed you? How has being in the women's circle changed you?" And she said, "Now I'm confident. Now I feel comfortable that I can walk around in my community. I walk with my head held high, and I say hi to everybody, and they strike up conversations and chit chat, and it's just so different. Just a difference in a year to build their confidence." So yeah, so that she's one, but one story is thing that's something that shocked me. I was because I'm a believer of diversity and everybody's the same, and I went to a workshop and it was on diversity, and I went there and I was all gung ho, and I'm thinking I'm gonna share about the women's circle, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back learning all this stuff. And as I entered the room, I was totally surprised to hear that not everybody was on the same page as I was. There were people that I heard a lot of those people, they don't
Mm.
keep their yards clean, those people. And I was totally shocked. And so I told my point of view, and I told about talked about the women's circle. About a year later, I was at another workshop, and this time I was presenting on behalf of the women's circle, just like today, telling our story. This woman was at that particular meeting, and as I was presenting, she stood up, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what is she gonna ask me? She stood up and started clapping, and it was a packed room, and she thanked me so much for sharing what we're doing here at Sarcee Meadows, and in her own co-op she's gone above and beyond even what we do at our co-op.
Wow.
So it when you hear things like that's when, if you only get a few hours of sleep, it's okay. It's worth it. It's worth to be able to share these stories. And, she and I are very good friends, and it's, when you speak the truth, and not, you can speak the
Yes.
truth. I can say this today and come off screen and be a totally different person. But when you're constantly always showing your love and respect for everybody, you give it, you get it. And that's truly what I find. And, like I say, pretty cool things happen to us. And again, I give a lot of kudos to CHF Canada, because they saw from a very early time what the Women's Circle were doing. And Scott Jackson, if he's
Yes.
listening or watching, I just want him to know that, like, after we won the Cooperative Achievement Award, he said to me, Kathy, you've got to get this out to the media. And I'm thinking, like, well, we've been having chai and butter chicken. Like, what do people care? And sure enough, oh my gosh, next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call from the Office of the Premier inviting us to participate in an anti-racism event or initiative with the then Alberta Minister of Education. And then we're invited by the then Premier Rachel Notley to Black History Month, to different receptions, and we're being invited to all these different events. People want to hear our story, and so all around the world, people were publishing our story as well. Which again, it kind of freaks you out a little bit, because you think, like, what are we doing? It's so simple. Why are people so interested? And then the day of our cultural event, that's when it really struck me, because we had CTV News came, I think it was them, that had come down to film it. And so that night I was at home sitting on my couch waiting for this to air.
Come on, yeah.
Yeah. And the first thing that comes on, oh, there's a bombing in this country. There's a shooting in this country. Somebody's done this. Like, all of this bad news. And then the last thing before the news ended was our Women's Circle, the culture event, and all the kids playing and all this laughter and all of this fun. And then I realized, that's it. People are sick and tired of hearing about all this negative stuff. All they want to know is they want to see something positive. They want to see people helping each other. And that's what I got. And that's, I still shake my head 7 years later. We are still new, the queen of talk shows here. I sent you the message. I said, why me? When you asked me, I thought, why me?
Why
And
not?
for me to be able to be the voice of our Women's Circle, like I said at the beginning, I'm just the storyteller. It's the Women's Circle in Sarcee Meadows that keeps fostering this this atmosphere and this behavior, and seeing it flow down to the kids. Forget about it. It is very special.
And I can tell that gives you energy. And you know what? It's intention. When your intention is pure, when your intention is about the people and it's not about you, and you take yourself off, you take your mind off self, and you put your mind on others. And that came through. And you know, as I say, it's one of the special. Sometimes my memory does whatever it does, but I just treasure that moment. I know. I'll tell you, Kathy, it is one of the few times I can wear things and go out and stuff. I know exactly what I was wearing that day when I came to the Women's Circle. I remember the sweater. I remember it being the long black and white sweater. I remember the hugs. I remember coming into your kitchen. I remember the whole layout of the food. And then I just remember the love fest of stories, and the women were so open, and everybody was just sharing about who they are and their backgrounds and their journeys. And it was just like, it was magic. I don't have any other word to describe it. It was magic. Joan Pierre says, it's about time that we realize that we are stronger in numbers. I admire the work you are doing, inspiring and uplifting, especially for the younger generation to witness. And it is so true. See, here we go. Indeed, you are our voice, our superhero. And it's so true, Kathy. And I hope that you get your flowers. I know that you do this with the love. You do this for the woman. It's not about, what you can get back in return. But I am so glad that you said yes to come on here. Sarbana is saying Women's Circle is a platform where any question is welcome. I truly believe in open conversation where no one is judged. And I remember you even sharing when when you guys first started and started writing on the taking notes,
Mhm.
and you didn't understand. Maybe you should tell that story. What happened when the woman came in and you guys were taking notes? You tell that story, because you
Mhm.
tell it way better than I could. I just love that story.
This is an example of what not to do. When
Yes.
we first started with the with the women's circle, again, because we don't know each other's cultures, we don't know how people are going to react to things. We just go to what's natural to us.
Yeah.
And so when we had our first meetings, we had a social worker that came in just because, not that there's going to be any fistfights or anything, it was just because it's just the way that it was. And we had our flipboard, and we had somebody taking notes, and we had an agenda that we were following. And as people were talking, all the ladies were talking, there's somebody always writing down on the board what was being said. And again, that's something that's typical at, for me, it's something that's typical at a meeting, but it may not be typical for other people's countries or cultures. So they're wondering, why is it every time I'm saying something, they're writing it down? And then it took probably a good 6 months or a year even before they opened up, or some of these ladies opened up and said, I hate to say the word they, that I don't mean they, but um, that these ladies spoke up and said, we're not comfortable with you. Actually, they stopped coming to the women's circle, and that's when we realized what's going on. Like, why aren't they coming anymore? And then when we asked the question, that they said, we're not comfortable. This is something that's new to us. We're not comfortable with you writing down what we're saying, not and taking notes and sharing it with everybody. So as of that meeting, we stopped. We decided no more. This is no more social worker, no more formalities. It's just going to
Okay.
be us women getting together and just talking. And even though we didn't have an agenda, we still had our things that we wanted to do, and we had that top of mind. So we took small notes just to make sure, because as we're getting older, didn't want to forget. We wanted to keep track of what people said. But that was the key. And it was so interesting, because it didn't even dawn on me for a second, and didn't even dawn on me that it was bothering people that didn't know what we were doing. So that's the thing, the key thing is make sure that you're in touch with the people that are in your group, talk to them, ask the question, and, are you comfortable with me
Yes.
recording this? Are you comfortable with me writing it down? And this is why I'm writing it down. It's because I have a bad memory and I need to write it down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's great. Like, it's like I say, different cultures, and I know I'm speaking a lot about the ladies that come from countries like Pakistan and India, but it's so much more. And what's very interesting as well is when we first started, I thought that it was just the ladies from India, Pakistan, Somalia that were feeling not involved or not welcome.
Right.
When we did the culture event and we started knocking on doors saying, "Oh, do you want to have your country represented?" That's when they would say, "Oh, who cares about my country? Who cares about this?" And I
Oh,
thought, it shocked me. I was surprised, and I thought, "Are you kidding me?" Everybody wants to learn. And the key, one of the cool things that came out of that culture event, with I think 13 countries represented, we had a note from a lady afterwards saying, I'm not able to travel. I think it was for health issues. She wasn't able to travel. But with this culture event, 12 different countries were represented. People that represented the countries they wore the clothes that they would normally wear in their
right.
country, served the food that they would traditionally would eat, had little trinkets and stuff like that. So as she went around to each of the booths, the stations, she got to learn a little bit more about the country, and so she felt like she was going on a vacation at every table that she stopped at. So very, very, very cool things.
I love your community. I love that you don't just wait to go to a festival outside. You created your own festival inside of there. And so many times we're always waiting for, okay, what's happening out there? You
Mhm.
know, yeah, don't forget the buttered chicken, says Farah. Farah, we remember the buttered chicken. It's very much up in here. The first thing Kathy mentioned was the buttered chicken. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And every time I think of the women's circle, sorry, I think of food. That's one of the things. Outside of the love, I think of food. But the fact that you guys are just so creative and think outside of the box and say, how can I reach each other? Each one reach one. And that's one that I love about you, Kathy. I love your open spirit. And it speaks of the culture that you guys have garnered inside the women's circle. And I am just so happy that I was honored and given the privilege of meeting you and then invited to be part of this sacred women's circle. So as
Mhm.
we wind down, because I'm cognizant of the time, you need to go have dinner. It's you're behind me in time. I'm ahead of you in time in Calgary. Um, is there anything you want those listening live or on the replay to know about you, to know about the Women's Circle. Anybody you want to shout out? This is you. This was made for you. This is not about me. This is me hosting you and letting the world hear about Sarcee Meadow Co-op, Women's Circle, and their fierce, strong, beautiful leader, Miss Kathy, Auntie Kathy to some.
Well, for me, cooperative housing was something that was completely new to me. Before I lived here, I had my own home, my own house that we owned. And when I lived there, I maybe knew the neighbors on the left, maybe knew them on the right to say hi, that kind of thing. It was nice to have that. But moving into co-op housing, it's something that is very unique. The people that live here are doctors and lawyers and accountants, single parents. We have business owners. We have everything, and everybody supports each other. It's as somebody had said, it's strength in numbers, and we really celebrate each other as women. With my husband as well. I think about my husband. He's a hunter, and again, I post his pictures on Facebook, and it wasn't long before some of the husbands of the ladies would say, "Do you think Mark would take me hunting? Would you think he'd teach me?" So even the men are coming together, and
Wow.
it was very funny at the culture event. One of the men came up to me and said, "Do you think we could form something like, I don't know, a men's square?" They were like, "You're on your own there." There's the men are so proud of their wives, and the kids are proud, and when we get them involved. The mayor, he came to our culture event this is June, his political time. He should have been out campaigning, but he said he's going to stop. And so I thought, he'll stop 15 minutes and he'll go on his way. An hour later, he was still there, shaking hands, getting to know people, and enjoying the samosas and the chai, and just really letting us know that what we're doing is exactly on target. We're doing our best to wipe out racism and to embrace and celebrate diversity, because that's what it's all about. And all of us are foreigners in this country. Majority of us are foreigners in this country, so we all have to find a way to inhabit this earth together. And I'm so many people have said when they moved into Sarcee Meadows, it's I'm going to move into Sarcee Meadows and I'm going to save some money. I'm going to get out and I'm going to buy a house. Well, 50 years later, we still have 23 of our original members that they're still in the exact same unit. That my next door neighbor has been here since 1971 when we first started having people move in. To get into the Sarcee Meadows, there's a 5-year wait list. Like people wait on the wait list for 5 years to get in here, and people say, the only way I'm going to be leaving here, myself included, is in a pine box. You're not getting me out of here. I love it. I love the Women's Circle, and it's not always easy. I have my frustrations, but it's always think I can't quit. This is for the kids, the women in the community. So no, I'm here for the long haul.
And you know what? It's so true. Unless you live in a really good co-op, and I know not every co-op is perfect, and not every housing community is perfect, but if you get a good housing co-op, because we're built on community, and that's what people don't know. They don't understand the difference between us and a condo and us and a regular apartment building. It's about building communities, and I think that's one of the things I love about my co-op too. When I came here, reminded me of being in Trinidad, where it was family and it takes a village, and this one was looking out for the other, and your neighbors down the street. I remember growing up in Trinidad, I was baking a cake one day, Kathy, and I love to make pineapple upside down cakes. And I didn't have eggs, and I ran to my neighbor. Okay, do you have eggs? And then, oh my God, of course I didn't check because I just wanted the pineapple upside down. Say, oh, I needed sugar, and I went to the next neighbor. And by the time I was done, everybody, the cake was done, but then the cake share was shared between 3 houses, because that's how you live, and that's part of co-op, the co-op living. And this is why I have lived here in my co-op for 27 years. Holy
Wow.
Moses,
Yeah.
So I love it. I know there's other places I should love to live, but I love the environment of my co-op. So Kathy, I thank you for sharing Sarcee Meadows Co-op story, the Women's Circle, what you're doing, your love sign shoe, and you are just supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And I'm going to ask you one last question. What does victory look like to you? Oh, stop it. I just got what you did. You pointed at me. You're hilarious. You're hilarious. That was good. You got
victory.
me.
I see victory around me every single day. Being able to thrive, being able to share our story, being able to encourage other people to do the same. I want to just make one plug, one announcement on behalf of my husband. Ladies, Ramadan is coming up soon. Last year, these families are so generous. They normally during Ramadan they will volunteering is big for a lot of the ladies, and they'll volunteer outside the home. But because of COVID, especially last year when things were so tight, they had to they couldn't do so much. But they asked me, who in the co-op do you think would like to try our food? So I gave them a list of our seniors, and oh my gosh, one of our seniors, Kathleen, who's going to be 85 years old, she said, oh, I love the spicy food. And I said, how do you handle it? And she says, I keep a glass of water right there, and she has it that way. And so anyways, I was fortunate enough to have 22 deliveries of Ramadan goodies last year. So just saying, well, I don't know if the record's going to be broken, but Mark enjoyed every single.
Just saying.
So that's my shameless plug.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm going to give you some of the last love that is on here. It's a village to raise kids, and we are raising our kids with our extended family here at Sarcee Meadows. And you know what, Farah, I'm seeing it, and I see from what the kids wrote, that how they're impacted by watching their moms go out there and be so proud. And okay, I'm coming. Nicole, you should come here and spend Ramadan with us. Okay, so as soon as we're allowed to travel, I'm coming. Somebody get me a flight, and I'm coming somehow, and we'll make it happen because I know it's going to be a blast. Kathy, thank you so much for being here with me today. And if anybody wants to get a hold of Kathy, I have dropped her email several times. And if you want to engage, if you want to give some love, you can have your own women's circle, as Kathy said. You can share your own women's circle. You can create something and call it something different. But the fact is, go out there and make a difference in this world. Thank you for tuning in. This is Nicole, Victory Speaks, Kathy, and has been so awesome to give me of her time today. And if you want to catch us live and on the replay, you can catch this again and share this with your friends and families. And you can go to the YouTube page, which is Victory Speaks 7 on YouTube. You can go back to the Facebook page, which is Victory Speaks 77. And you can catch the replay. I am so happy that you joined me here today. Thank you all for all of you who stopped in and stopped in for this inspired conversation. There's also the Victory Speaks podcast. You can listen to it, and it's an inspired conversation there, which is a little different. It's about living a life of victory. It's an audio podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Anchor, anywhere you listen to a podcast. This is where you can follow me. If you're in Clubhouse and you know about Clubhouse, that's another place that you can find me. And, one of the things we learned so much from Kathy today, the power of giving back, the power of operating without judgment, the power of just getting up and just doing an act of kindness, the random acts of kindness, looking for who is in your neighborhood. Don't judge. So many wisdom keys dropped here by my beautiful friend Kathy today. I am in awe of her. I learned so much. And when I feel a little down, let me tell you, I think about the women's circle, and our co-op thinks about the women's circle and what else we can do to make a difference in other people's lives. Every day, seek to have an inspired conversation with someone you know, someone you love, someone you meet today, someone you've met along the way. Your conversations can be inspired by your truth, by your love, by your story. Make sure they're meaningful. And Kathy said it on the video, and I say it all the time. Your conversation can start with a smile. Make sure you have some victorious moments in your week. Every little moment counts, even the smallest ones. And as you add each victory moment, one victory moment at a time, put it in a jar, put it in a box, and pull it out to remind yourself how great you are. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is Nicole Waldron, Victory Speaks, your voice of victory and your mental fitness coach. See you next week, Monday. And my guest is going to be very special. She runs an amazing women's organization, and this month it's Women's Month. So I'm celebrating the women. So tune in, you'll find out who my guest is. And again, thank you for tuning in. God bless.